Social Security has been the backbone, and we are concerned about the solvency of Social Security. We know that if congressmen and women don't act by 2034, that Social Security could see a decrease in about 20% of these earned benefits.
What's up, everyone? There's no better way to elicit visceral responses from people than to tell them your Social Security may not be there when you need it in the future. Let's get into it.
When I was young, I used to wonder, will Social Security be there for me when I retire? Now that I'm older, the better question is, how long will it last once I do retire? It's a good question because the experts say in 10 years, 2034, the money coming in from present-day workers will not be enough to cover all the retirees who are expecting a return on their years of contributing Social Security taxes. So what does that mean exactly? Well, it means that in 2034, anyone on Social Security will receive about 75 to 80% of their expected benefits, not the full amount. Congress has had plenty of time to correct the problem, but the choices are hard. Raise the retirement age for full benefits to 68 or 70. Raise Social Security taxes above its current 6.2% rate. Or start taxing income above the current $160,000 cap. Doing nothing means less for you at retirement.
Welcome back. The Congressional Budget Office and the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget both warning that Social Security is less than 8 years away from insolvency based on projections from the program's own trustees. The CRFB writing this: it is time to start telling the truth when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. We are running out of time to phase in changes gradually and avoid harsh cuts, sharp tax increases, or unacceptable borrowing. They also warn a retired dual-earning couple could see cuts in their Social Security benefits of upwards of $18,000 a year, beginning in 2033.
CEO Maisha Minter-Jordan. All right, let me just get your gut reaction to whether it's a smart idea for people to maybe commit some of their retirement dollars into these types of alternative assets, Maisha.
Well, hi, Liz. First, let me say thanks for having me. And as it pertains to this executive order, we're still waiting to get more details. One of the facts that I think is really important is only half of the American public actually have 401ks. And we want to make sure that as we think about the investors, that we're protecting them, we're ensuring that they have access to their earned benefits like Social Security, which is why we're lifting up the 90th celebration of Social Security. And to understand that over 90 years, Social Security has never missed a paycheck, that over 183 million Americans are contributing to this incredibly important program to ensure that they have the retirement that they deserve. So while we're excited about learning more about this executive order and the different assets that investors will be able to then access, we also want to make sure that we have a stable source of income for individuals who are retiring. And we know that Social Security has been there for 90 years, and we need it to continue for generations into the future.
Okay, but we also know, and we have seen all kinds of nonpartisan groups say that in 7 years, it could very well run out. And so 401ks have become that much more important when it comes to people's retirements. And so when you look at these alternative asset choices that the president, basically, just to be clear, the executive order instructs government agencies to draft guidance plans that can be incorporated. Right. So getting people more information, certainly, but also more choice. I mean, cryptocurrency as well. It's just that some of these are highly risky in some cases.
We want to make sure as AARP that individuals have access to education and resources and that they can make the financial decisions that are right for themselves and their families. Having more opportunities for investment is important, but also understanding that Social Security has been the backbone, and we are concerned about the solvency of Social Security. We know that if congressmen and women don't act by 2034, that Social Security could see a decrease in about 20% of these earned benefits.
What's up, everyone? You watch the On Air Nick Java podcast here on YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and you'll be notified about my upcoming video releases. All right, guys, I'm going to run through some more information here. And this is really not to get everyone up in a tizzy, so to speak, but just to, maybe have you guys look into this as well. See what you can find, but all the information that I have been looking at over the last few weeks, reading up on this and looking at the data, some of the analysis, looking at the entire Social Security history, You guys let me know what you think in the comments. I'm just putting this out there because this is definitely something that is trending in a bad direction. First off, I want to run over a little bit of history with you guys to maybe make this make a little bit more sense. All right, guys, so here we go. We are going to look into this a little bit, and you'll be able to see the sources here as well. So, basically, okay, Social Security is currently paying out more in benefits than it's collecting in what's called payroll tax revenues. Okay, and it says here, and this source is actually Investopedia. In 2024, Social Security distributed more in benefits than it received in payroll tax revenue, meaning the program has been running in a net deficit, is dipping into the trust fund reserves to make up the difference. So we are actually now running on reserves when it comes to Social Security payments. And, there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to try to walk through some of this so you guys maybe can understand where this is all coming from and whatnot. We're going to go over a little bit of history here first. And I thought this was pretty interesting. So in the 1940s and 50s, the early years of Social Security, there was about 40 workers per retiree. So you had 40 people in the workforce that were paying Social Security tax, and that money was going to the one retiree. In the 60s, you had about 5 workers per retiree. In 2000, it dropped to 3.4 workers per retiree. And right now, as of 2025, there's roughly 2.7 workers per retiree that are paying into the actual Social Security system. By 2035, it's projected to fall closer to 2 workers per retiree. So that is what we're looking at when it comes to the historical data. You guys can see that downward trend, hard downward trend. And, it says here, why does this matter? Well, it matters because you have fewer workers per retiree. So that means less payroll tax money. And that means, people, we also have, when Social Security was put into place, people weren't living to 80, 90 years old at the time, getting those Social Security benefits. People are living longer, and therefore the retiree draws more benefits off of the current worker. Now, some people might say, well, how does Social Security actually work? And Social Security works, who benefits, who pays, okay? People that are actually paying Social Security taxes are actually the people who are paying for people that draw Social Security. So if you're a retiree and you're drawing Social Security, the people that are in the workforce are actually paying for that. Now, that's how the system has been set up for a very long time, but we are running up here on an issue, and I don't know how they're going to try to solve this. It's not going to be a popular solution, whatever they decide. However, Social Security is very important, and people who have paid into the system and people that are doing that, I do believe should be able to reap those benefits. However, it is going to put a heavy strain on anybody that's in the actual workforce. All right, guys, you guys can check this out. This is on marketwatch.com. If you guys are looking for these specific, sources here. As it says here, there's not many voices left in American politics you can trust. The Congressional Budget Office has only one job, though it's planning to help everyone in Congress on both sides count the beans. Happily, their reports are also available to the rest of us, which is where I'm getting some of this information as well. Last week, Molly Dow, the CBO's chief of long-term analysis, went before the Senate Budget Committee and told them clearly and emphatically that Social Security is going to run out of money in just 8 or 9 years, unless they do something about it. The Social Security Trust Fund will run out of cash in fiscal year 2033, Dow told senators. As fiscal years in Washington start on October 1st of the previous calendar year, she is referring to the 12-month period starting October 1st. In other words, in just over 8 years' time. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Yeah. I mean, that's what it feels like, right? Yeah, guys, just looking at this, there is going to have to be some sort of change. Something's going to have to happen. We're just not sustaining as a society when it comes to this the way it's set up right now. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think about this. I'm just presenting some information to you, and I hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful day. Take care.